In this podcast, we chat about the back-to-back wins against Blackpool and Norwich. We go to Shithouse Island and answer your podcast questions. This is the Boro Breakdown podcast, and this is all your Boro Matchday chatter in a pod.
Wants support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Ravanelli coming alive again. Juninho wants the ball played to him. Ravanelli spots out Emerson!
Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny, Dana and Tom. We are the Boro podcast that gives you all of your Boro Matchday chatter in a podcast. And back-to-back wins for Boro against Blackpool and Norwich. See Boro move up to 14th in the championship table. 3 wins in 4, 3 wins away from home in a row, and 4 points off the playoffs. Guys, how are you feeling? Because what a week, especially on Saturday. The goals that helped us come back against Norwich, and I just could not believe Ryan McGree's absolute screamer. But how are you feeling? As many words as you want. I feel like I couldn't give you 3 words because, wow. Dana, do you want to go first?
Yeah, just absolutely overjoyed, to be honest, Jonny. I really didn't expect 2 wins this week. I didn't expect to be coming onto this podcast talking about a win from yesterday as well against Norwich, because Boro fans, all we're really accustomed to is going to Carrow Road and coming back with nothing more times than not. So just really, really happy for the players, because I've always maintained the belief that they are good enough. They've just needed someone to believe in them and that confidence put upon them. And I'm really, really happy. We've seen signs of progress, 2 away wins in a week. 2.5 months ago, nobody would have expected that. In our opening 7 away games, we'd only picked up 4 points. And now 9 in the last 3. It's so good to see. We're in a really good feeling at the moment, and I'm enjoying it for what it is.
Brilliant. Tom, how are you feeling?
Well, I actually had 3 words for this one. I was going to channel the inner Brad Guzan grandma and just say absolutely mint, man. Last couple of games, I mean, obviously the 6 points that we got from them's, the best part of it. 2 away wins. Who would have ever thought that had happened? But some of the football we've played, it's just so entertaining to watch now. And considering there's been a complete change of formation and Carrick's only been here, 3 weeks maybe? I can't believe how quickly he's managed to turn it around and completely transform the way we play.
Yeah, he has, and we look really, really good. It's really good to see us play with such confidence and togetherness on the pitch, and also to see us just thriving like on and off the pitch, with the fans being really connected with the team. But for me, this is kind of where I am, to be honest. And like Jonny's happy place, I think just we've been so good over the last week, and it's just nice to see a Boro team come back to that place where we seen pretty much last year, where we had that part where we were really good to watch on the eye, and it was exciting to watch us again. And now I feel excited this time, but it's a little bit different this time. I feel a lot more closer than I do, or than I did under Wilder, which is strange for me to say that, because I thought Wilder was great at the time. But let's talk about Blackpool first, because Boro went to Bloomfield Road and absolutely blew Blackpool away. And Dana, you were there. How did the look in game feel for you being there? Because it looked really cold. Boro were red hot.
Yeah, I mean, I have a cold now thanks to that Blackpool concourse. But I tell you what, if we weren't having a party in the away end, then us Boro fans probably would have been on Blackpool Beach with our feet up, drinking pina coladas, because it was pretty much comfortable from start to finish with little to no hitches throughout. I was taken aback by it, to be honest, because we were playing like the home team. And there was a point in the second half where we were all laying, we were passing the ball around with such confidence. And it's so weird to talk about that, because it really wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the exact opposite. Boro players being devoid of that confidence. So to see us play with such a swagger and authority and the best type of arrogance against Blackpool was really good. And we were so dominant. The movement in midfield, playing around Blackpool, enticing them in the press, lulling them into that false sense of security, and then passing the ball with intent and purpose, and just looking really, really good. It was a fantastic away day. We were all having an absolute blast. But there's one negative that I do have to call out that I think is really important. Obviously, people probably will have heard it, but there were a section of the away fans that were booing the Blackpool players taking the knee, which was incredibly disappointing in a week where obviously Chuba was subjected to that racist abuse on social media. It was brilliant to see the reaction to that and the support that Chuba got, but to follow that up with some booing in that away end was really, really deeply uncomfortable and really, really disappointing as well. Obviously, it's a minority, but I just want to call that out. But football-wise, it was a brilliant performance. Boro deserved the 3 points. It was a fantastic display. And yeah, just really, really, really happy with what we saw.
Yeah, rightfully called out as well, D. Fully back you on that. But then also the performance on the pitch was brilliant. Tom, what impressed you about the performance against Blackpool?
I think one of the words Dana said there is the key to it all: dominance. We never looked like we were like they. No, sorry, they never looked like they had a chance of scoring, and we were just completely outplaying them. Yeah, I did think at the time, they got 14 players out injured. Could it be something to do with that? But you can only beat what's in front of you. They still had some good players on the pitch, and we never gave them a chance. And it got me thinking, like, if this game had happened, a couple of months earlier, would it have been the same scoreline? Probably not. It was just, it's been so impressive, the last few games. Obviously, Bristol, we absolutely should have won by a mile as well, but just, like I say, the absolute change around in the team, and the fact that we've gone there, as Dana said, played like we were the home team and played some really good football as well. When earlier in the season, the players looked devoid of confidence, they couldn't make the right decisions, etc. And now they look completely, on top of the game.
Yeah, they really do, and I think the look that on top of the game really comes from confidence, and that showed in the first goal, Dana, that comfortableness on the ball, moving it really well, and it was a lovely goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I said after the game, I tweeted that it's my favourite goal this season and it won't be topped. And I maintain that belief because I absolutely love those goals where it's a crossing deep to the far post, not back into the danger zone, and then it's either swept home in Jones's case or it's lashed home. I absolutely love it. But it starts with Steffen, and Boro recycle the ball. Steffen is in possession of it, and then he dinks the ball over to the left-hand side where Riley McGree is. And then Riley McGree plays it to Hayden Hackney, and something that doesn't necessarily directly affect what comes out of this move, but something that I want to acknowledge anyway, because Hayden Hackney is very good at doing this. He lets the ball run across his body, opens up his body to invite that press from Jerry Yates. And Jerry Yates probably thinks in that moment that he has a chance there of winning the ball, so he's aggressive. He tries to attack it, he tries to press. And Hayden Hackney's basically like, nope, plays the ball to Jonny Howson. But what he does in that movement is he opens up so much space in front of him. And noting Chuba Akpom's role in this team now, dropping deep, linking play, exploiting those spaces. Akpom doesn't actually drop into this hole here, but still, that's an avenue that he could have done that because of the press that Hackney has basically magneted to him there. But the ball's played to Jonny Howson, and then he plays the ball down the middle to Jones. Lovely give and go between him and Chuba Akpom, and then a move that's made on the overlap through Tommy Smith is really important here because Jones continues his run. He pulls Dominic Thompson with him centrally, but then out wide, Tommy Smith makes an overlap, and then he commits Theo Corbenau to him. And it just opens up a little bit of room for Akpom to be able to assess his options and to pick out that wonderful, wonderful ball to Marcus Forss. And I don't think it should go unnoticed or underappreciated, the awareness of Marcus Forss in that move. But before I really talk about that, I just want to indulge in that pass from Chuba Akpom because it is brilliant. I mean, I was going to say a striker there, but he's playing as a number 10, isn't he? So his job is to do that now. But the technical ability for him to do that is very, very good, and something that I didn't realise that Akpom really possessed so much. But it's a fantastic ball over to Marcus Forss. The selflessness, obviously there's only one thing that he can do there, to be fair to him. He has to knock it back into that area, but just the awareness. And also I really, really want to point out Jones's anticipation here, because if I was a Blackpool fan, I'd be absolutely furious with Dominic Thompson, because he's just very passive. He's not anticipating that. He's slacking, essentially. Jones catches him slacking, and he anticipates it. He's on his heels, he gets in front of Dominic Thompson, and he's able to be in the right place at the right time to cushion that home. It's just a really, really well crafted goal, and a pat on the back to the Boro players for that. It's obviously something that they've worked on, because Akpom has said after that game that he knows where certain players are supposed to be, because it's just what Michael Carrick has really put into them on the training ground. And yeah, I absolutely love that goal. I really, really, really don't think that that's going to be topped, because in terms of actually the makings of that goal, it's spot on, it's perfect.
I feel like a lot of fans will probably say, yeah, well, what about the goals against Norwich? You know, Ryan McGrace's a kick. The second goal was really good.
Yep.
But I mean, but both, like all three of them are really well worked goals. And I think in that game yesterday against Blackpool, I noticed that how Boro pretty much controlled the game. And we spoke about it in the previous podcast ever so slightly, where we spoke about how Blackpool like to get out wide, use the combinations to get up the pitch in the three in midfield, and how Boro like to be a bit more compact. And I thought this could be a battle of the midfield and how Boro could control the central areas and how they can dictate the game. So looking at the average positions on it, and average positions themselves is a massive caveat. You know, it's an average. It's not where people are throughout the game, and there's going to be rotations in flexibility in tactics, but also formations. And where Boro dominated the play was in that central area. You know, when we're looking at Hackney, Howson, Akpom, and when you're looking at their central midfielders, I think when you look at how Boro dominated it, and you can see it in probably the passes. So where Boro most percentage passes were in that central area and within the half space. And what did really, really well in that game was able to press when they needed to, when the right back got the ball or the central midfielder got the ball. That in itself stopped the ball going out wide and trying to stop the combination. So every time Boro had the ball in midfield, they were able to drive forward. So when you look at Howson and Hackney's touches throughout the game, and Ryan McGree as well, they're all in this central half space, and they've been able to completely control the game. And since Blackpool didn't have enough quality to try and get the switch over to the wingers or try to play up the pitch in the width, Boro were able to control possession really, really well. And also when they needed to, they just dominated the play. And since Blackpool were pulled from side to side, Boro were able to drive through and create plenty of chances. And for me, I think that was probably one of the biggest dictators in the game. And yes, we were fortunate with a penalty, Tom, but I mean, was it, Tom? Was it a penalty?
No, he wiped him out.
He wiped him out clearly, a penalty then. So,
to be fair, I thought that at first. I thought, he's gone down extremely easily there and there was no contact. But when you watch the replays back, it is clear that he's avoiding contact and kind of getting out the way. If he hadn't have, jumped pretty much, the keeper was touching him. So I do think, even though he was going away from the goal, that is still a foul.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously when we're saying that Boro get the definite penalty, as you mentioned there, Tom, that the game was pretty much put to bed then, and then Boro were able to have more flexibility in the play because Blackpool had to open up even more central space, more half space, and Boro's controlled it from start to finish. But Tom, Marcus Forss, really good for a development striker, as you tweeted. He's now got a run of games in, and what is he bringing to this side going forward? Because Boro's seem a lot better with him in the team.
I think the main thing is his pressing. I saw a tweet in the last week where someone compared his pressing to Tunchai. And I was like, I mean, from what I remember, I don't think it was that good, because I seem to remember Tunchai sprinting from, all over the pitch and never running out of energy. But he's getting there. Carrick said after, I can't remember which game it was, that he took Forss off and pretty much said what you brought to the team there is more important than getting the goal. And it helps us in terms of stopping them playing out from the back and forcing mistakes when we're pressing from the front like he's done. I thought he deserved a goal on Tuesday night. I think he's had a couple of decent chances recently. I remember that one where he hit the post against Bristol, unlucky to hit the post there, and then it was a great finish by a great Finnish player on Tuesday.
We should have seen that coming, Jonny.
I know. Well, I thought you were going to say something about him being 28 for a second there as well, and I was like, no, he's not.
He's not 28.
Yeah. Oh, dear me, I'm going to cut that out. Anyway, then Farrell Willis made his debut, 976th Boro player to do so. He's came out of the blue, really. I appreciate if you've watched him in the 23s, he's been looking really good this season. But how do you think he did? Because he seemed to do okay, right?
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. But no one got that one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm just going to stop this podcast. You know,
Yeah.
what's with the shit jokes today? You know.
Tom Greenery. There's so much Tom Greenery going on. Yeah, I thought he looked dangerous when he got the ball. I don't think he had a lot of time to have an impact, to be honest. But to be honest, I don't even know when he came on. It was all a bit of a blur in the second half. I was talking to these three people in front of me, so shout out to Sue, Claire, and Richard that took quite an interest in my Boro breakdown shirt and hat. But yeah, I mean, he nearly scored, didn't he? He had an opportunity where he cut inside and had an opportunity, but he looked lively. And I'm really glad that Carrick gave him an opportunity, because when I saw him on the bench, sort of just assumed, yeah, he'll be on the bench, much like we saw with Sonny Finch earlier this season, and he probably won't come on. But he took Dykesdale out of the squad for Farrell Willis, so that shows that he's willing to give these young players an opportunity, and I absolutely love that. It's something that I really want to see more of, something that Wilder didn't really encourage, and I like the fact that already Carrick is moulding Hayden Hackney into a fantastic player. And shout out to Leo as well, because Leo was the one that brought Hayden Hackney into the team, and Carrick has obviously given Farrell Willis a debut as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, it really was. And to celebrate the week, he signed a new deal till 2025. So we could be seeing more of Farrell Willis very, very soon. But Tom, I think we had a question about this as well, but I'll bring it forward slightly. But do you think we could see more Boro Youth Academy players being integrated more into the 18 now? I mean, with Farrell Willis being the start of that.
Well, I think Hayden Hackney was pretty much the start of that. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that he looked positive when he came on and got a decent chance, then signed a new contract a couple of days later, I think it just proves that he didn't just get lucky when he got Dykesdale off the bench. He was there on merit, and yeah, you got that one. But
I didn't. I was just sat there blank faced. I didn't even know what you said, to be honest.
I'm just not going to react anymore. I'm just going to react. I'll let the listeners react.
Next match day, Paul, whose pun was the best. But no, I think it's clear that, you know, it always has been clear that we've got players with, you know, incredible ability coming through the academy, and then, you know, there probably is more players who can make it into the team this year, even if it is just getting on the bench and making their first appearance this year. I think, you know, Carrick's committed to bringing through the youth. As mentioned there, you know, he's done an incredible job of coaching Hayden Hackney, who looks like he's getting better every game. So there's no reason why he couldn't do that with more players coming through the academy.
Yeah, and after the game, he did allude to that ever so slightly, but I wanted to talk about Chuba Akpom in his interview with BBC Tees, because, you know, he's seen his role change over the last 4 games, and he's really flourished. He scored and contributed to a goal in every single game that he's played so far this season. But I just wanted to put a clip from BBC Tees to see how he's changed, and we can chat about it as well.
I like getting on the ball. I'm not one of them players that just stays up top and hides, you know. From young, I've always been a striker that likes to link up play, come short, assist my teammates and get involved. I just like to get touches on the ball and dribble and and just be involved. So I'm really enjoying it, and I can't complain really. Obviously, there's a few adjustments I've had to make, like defensively. I need to drop in more with the midfield, and attacking as well. I need to get in the pockets and come deeper to get on the ball. But it's something that I'm enjoying, and I'm kind of forming a partnership like with Jonny Howson and Hayden Hackney. You know, we're trying to make a lot of triangles. It's weird because I'm building a relationship with Izzy on the right side, and then Jonny and Hayden, and then Marcus, and then Riley. It's just a whole partnership going on we have in the team. So I'm getting to know the boys better and better, getting to know their positions. And another good thing is that the gaffers told us like where to be at certain points. So without even looking, I know where Izzy's going to be. Without even looking, I know where Tommy's going to be, and all the rest of my teammates. So I'm really happy and I'm enjoying it.
So Chuba, Akpom in the midfield. See, you didn't get that either, did you? Chuba, Akpom.
I got it. But...
Yeah, you got it. I thought I'd join in. But the resurgence under Akpom, obviously the last few games, I think this season he's been majestic as well. And how do you think this new position is benefiting him, Dana? Because he just looks amazing at the moment.
He does. He's performing at a really high level at the moment. It suits him really, really well. As I said, I didn't expect that technical ability from him. Arsene Wenger did say that he does have the physicality to be able to compete, and was very complimentary over Akpom when he was at Arsenal. But he has taken me by surprise very pleasantly. And I've said it before, I love the resurgence of him. And I think it just really suits him. He's centerpiece of a lot of what Boro are doing. And yesterday, the Norwich game, the confidence that he's showing at the moment is epitomised in that move where he absolutely does Janulis. I think he nutmegs him, or it's just lovely, quick, swift trickery to move past him. Absolutely brilliant. And it sums up Chuba Akpom at the moment. I think it's an absolute masterstroke from Carrick to have put him in that position. He said it was instinctive. He just had a feeling having watched him. And already that is applaudable because he's reaped the rewards from it. You know, what is it? I think 4 goals and an assist in Carrick's first games. It's absolutely unbelievable. And he did get emotional after that Blackpool game. And I just want to read a bit of a quote from the Gazette. He said, "I heard the fans sing my name, and after I scored, I got a bit emotional. It's because of what we're doing as a team and what I'm doing personally. And given the way this season started, I wouldn't have expected this. When I came back this summer, I was training with the 23s. I thought me at Middlesbrough was finished, if I'm honest with you. I was just training and waiting for my agent to sort something out. But one thing I was telling myself, no matter what, I had to be ready for if an opportunity came, whether that was at Boro or moving elsewhere." And then he said it was a bit overwhelming. Middlesbrough is really starting to feel like home now, and so many people at the club are making me feel that way. And you know what? I read that and I was like, oh my God, Chuba, I love you. I was like, come in here and give me a hug. Like, I think everyone in that away end just wanted to give him a hug because he was really emotional after he scored that goal. And his new role is fantastic. He is absolutely brilliant in this team. And I really hope that it doesn't stop. I think I said last podcast, it's probably not sustainable, but I'm enjoying it for what it is right now. And I hope that I could continue to enjoy it because it's really wholesome seeing Chuba received really well by the fans because of his really good performances in that team.
Yeah, and then if you want a hug from Chuba Akpom, we can make that happen on this podcast.
Well, I still haven't heard Darragh Lenihan say aardvark, so I'm still waiting on that.
Working on it. We're working on it. Our people are talking to his people, and we'll make it work. Tom, talking about Chuba Akpom because you absolutely love him at the moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember a couple of years ago when I was still a big fan of him and changed my name to Whack Tom on Twitter, and that feeling's coming back now. I just think in this new position he is doing extremely well. As he's mentioned in the interview there, he definitely seems like the type of player who does want to be on the ball, and he's playing with confidence. The fact that he can come in, use his strength the way he has, hold up the ball. And play it that way, but also playing the other way of carrying it forward and picking the right pass when he's leading the attacking move. It's not something I would have ever expected from him. Or I don't think anyone would have after his last spell here. He's done so well since coming into the team. I think we got a first glimpse of it against Marseille, where he I can't remember who he played it to at the back post. It was a hell of a cross, perfectly weighted, and that was just a glimpse at that point. And then coming into the team, taking his chances under Wilder, and then sticking around under Leo, and then becoming such a key component under Carrick. He's just impressed me so much this season.
And I just want to go back to the clip that we just played, Dana. And he mentioned how Carrick's told him and the players to expect players to be in certain positions. Have we seen any patterns emerging as a fan? Have you noticed anything?
Definitely, and I think the one that stands out the most is in midfield between Jonny Howson and Hayden Hackney. It is mightily impressive, the dynamic that them two have, because say, for example, Hayden Hackney drops deep, Howson will be the one to advance and vice versa. And it's just that really simple movement that's causing other teams problems, because against Blackpool, we constantly had players scanning for the spaces, and against Norwich as well, being able to pick up those pockets and exploit them and pass and move and receive it and then pass it off really quickly. Them two are working so well together. And I tell you what, Howson always seems to have this trend at Boro where he plays well and then he drops off a little bit as the manager sort of, their time at the club peters out. We saw it under Warnock, a little bit under Wilder as well. But then he has this resurgence, and he's having it now where he looks like a spring chicken. I think he's like 34, but it looks like he's shaved about 4 or 5 years off him. Like, he's carrying the ball with such intent and confidence, and it is so good to see. I really like this version of Jonny Howson, and my word, Hayden Hackney. You know what? I was very on the fence with him because I didn't want to go too big on him. My God, he is very good. I've gone the complete opposite way now, and I'm talking him up at taking the ball on the half turn, being comfortable under pressure, inviting the press, playing it safe, and also being brave on the ball at the same time. Honestly, he's fantastic. But also, a partnership that might have gone under the radar a little bit is Tommy Smith and Isaiah Jones on that right-hand side, because I think Jones is best and plays really well when he's got somebody to be his foil, and to provide a link for him, or to be the dummy to effectively take a player out of his space. And Tommy Smith has been really good the past few games. It has to be acknowledged. I think he is providing a really good link up there with Jones, and them two are performing really well on that right hand side. So they're two that I've liked, and also Darrell Lenihan and Dill Fry in that back four are very, very good at the moment. Knowing when to sit, knowing when to bite, knowing when to attack the ball. I think they're both performing really, really well. And we're seeing quite a few link ups. They're the three that have stood out for me.
Yeah, and I agree with all of them. And I think there was something that you picked up on in the Jones goal. For I think it's maybe the third graphic we pulled up on it, where Boro, what they like to do now is Chuba is a big player in any part of Boro's build-up play. Now, if you feed into Chuba, it's pretty much the 1-2 of the centre midfielder, and this sets off a trigger with any wing back. So you'll see on your third graphic then that Tommy Smith, he's looking already. He knows the ball's going to go out wide straight away. And for me, what Boro want to try to do is get the ball in and then also feed out. And it's very difficult to press against them because you are pulling teams out to create the space for the likes of Forss and maybe for Akpom to try and get in behind and pull forward. And for me, I think it's really intelligent play from Boro at the moment. And when we seen that first clip before from Carrick, where he was saying about opening the ball, opening the pitch up, and we're seeing that implemented in the game, and it's quite nice to go from something so basic but being delivered so well. I think simplicity done well is brilliant, and that's how the fundamentals of football really work with it. And yeah, I think in terms of any more patterns, I think we just look really good. That any of the shape and all of the movement we're having in terms of combination and passing, that's all it's starting to say. But I think then Hayden Hackney, wow, he'd been amazing the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we can continue that. But I think someone who's been equally as impressive, maybe not as impressive as Hackney, but he's been really good over the last couple of weeks, was Steffen. And appreciate he just missed out on a World Cup spot for the USA, but I've seen an article today, I think it was from the Gazette, where he found out 4 hours before the Blackpool game had a clean sheet, and again was really good yesterday. What I loved was when he got the ball, came up to him, he flicked it over John Hugel's head, and then just played it back to, I don't know if it was Fry or Lenahan, but it was glorious. I mean, yes, heart illnesses might go up in Teesside, and yes, he might make people feel a bit panicky, but by God, his composure is amazing. But he was on a podcast earlier this week, and he spoke to Andrew Jones around the confidence and togetherness in the team, and I really want to play it because I think it's a really good clip.
Michael's been class, man. He's everything we needed. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of motivation and passion and belief. We just needed direction and some details and some positive like reinforcement that we can play and that we're good, and we just needed some leadership from the coaching staff, which is everything that Michael's given us, and he's very calm, he's very poised, he's very smart, he knows the game very well. Obviously he had an amazing career and has won a lot of trophies. So it's been nothing but positive and a lot of fun and very promising under him. So we just got to keep working and keep trying to get better each and every day.
Yeah, and he speaks a lot about that togetherness, and it was shown yesterday at Carrow Road where Boro came back from 1-0 down to win it. Dana, how impressed were you with Boro's resilience, ability to turn the game on its head, and that togetherness that we showed yesterday to come back and win it?
It was the most impressive part of the game for me because we started the first 5 minutes, we were really commanding, really dominant. We had an attack straight from the off, like immediately after kickoff. And we looked like we were trying to take the game to Norwich and play to them and basically say, right, what have you got for us? What have you got to counter this really good start? And then they did counter it because they scored, Josh Sargent scoring that goal. And it felt like Boro sort of were rocked a little bit after that, and they started to maybe recline into a bit of a shell. And then I think we just picked ourselves up and we went again. And it was that, as you said, the resilience to overcome that hurdle there in that Josh Sargent opener that really, really impressed me because, again, talking about the team and the change around from what we've seen, we look so devoid of confidence that when we went a goal down, I sort of thought, like earlier this season, I sort of thought, yeah, we're done. We're not going to get back into this game. And the fact that we overturned that deficit, and by the way, against a parachute payment team away from home, with the quality that Norwich have, I mean, let's be honest, I'm going to dig in on Norwich here because I can't stand teams like them that come down, and they have that squad quality that gets them through, but they're not really that good as a collective. And Dean Smith is getting a load of pelters from Norwich fans because they don't feel like they've progressed under him. So I was extra glad that we won that game yesterday because it's just such a boring narrative. These parachute payment teams coming down and then getting the rub of the green and having the quality, the squad individual quality, get them through because of the mass money that they've spent on them. So I was really, really glad that we went to a parachute payment team and we did them over. You know, we overcame that deficit and we got the 3 points that we really, really did deserve. You know, because of that resilience, I think we deserved those 3 points.
Yeah, we were really convincing in the second half as well. I think it wasn't a fluke. Although we scored an absolute worldie, it wasn't a fluke that we won the game. I think second half we controlled it, and you know when we play against the likes of Norwich, they want the game to be a basketball game because they have the quality to punish you with it, but then also they want to be expansive as much as they can. But when you control the possession, make them having to dig deep, make them become compact, it really nullifies their attack and play. And Boro did that superbly in the second half. But Tom, how would you assess things on your end? Because, wow, what a win.
Yeah, fantastic performance. I think I agree with what Dana said. We started off really, really positively, and then when that goal went in, for me, I wasn't worried about it. Weirdly, I was thinking, right, this is going to be, you know, the first kind of test for the team to see what their resilience is like. You know, we had that good spell last year under Wilder where we could go a goal behind and still come back and win the game. We've not had that yet under Carrick, but I was looking at the way we were playing and the way they were playing, and just thinking, I'm not particularly that worried. Fair enough, they did go on after that, have a fairly good spell, but I didn't kind of feel too threatened at that point. And then we grew back into the game after half time. And I think it's just kind of it's shown the resiliency of the group, but also Carrick and Woodgate are deserving a lot of credit for it as well. For I think Zach Steffen said it perfectly there, where they just need some positive reinforcement to know that they're good players, which I think says a lot about Wilder in the first half of the season and what he must have been saying to him. But they've come out for the second half and look like not even a completely different team, but just thought, right, when you go down a goal down on FIFA and you're just like, right, I'm going to start playing now. Like that was what it felt. You sit forward and you're just like, right, that's it. That's what it felt like for the team, and to score goals like that, and win it right at the death, absolute quality performance. I was buzzing with it yesterday.
Does it show that we can compete against these top sides, though, Tom?
Yeah, I think we always had the potential to anyway. I think when we come back from the World Cup, Burnley's going to be a good test for us away from home. But, we've beat Norwich away. Sheffield United are up there. We drew with them at home and arguably could have won that game. West Brom resurgence under Carlos Corberán, we would have expected them to be higher up, and they're kind of showing what they can do now. But we matched them earlier in the season as well. I think the ability's always been there. It's just like we just said there, the players didn't have that leadership from management. By the sounds of it, they were constantly being put down and told they weren't good enough. Carrick's just come in with a new coaching style and a new man management style, and everyone's playing pretty much the way that we always thought they could do.
Yeah, talk to me about the confidence side of things, guys, because the difference between Wilder and Carrick is it's just chalk and cheese, isn't it? Then why do you think that one way of management and another way of management has helped Boro build the confidence now and start to put really good performances on the pitch?
I think Carrick has made it about we rather than me. And with Wilder, it was very much the opposite. We were given warnings about Wilder's ego and sort of self-centeredness before and as he joined. But I guess because it was such a good feeling, we brought in a manager that was a coup. I still believe it was a coup for us. I think we kind of dismissed it, but Carrick's just given them an arm around the shoulder, which is all that footballers need sometimes. And we heard a lot of Wilder's sort of snipes at the recruitment team and players that weren't at the club. Forget about it. Focus on the players that you've got here, because it's a good enough group. We finished 7th last season. We weren't that far away from the playoffs. And I will say that this division this season is probably worse than last season as well. So there's an open opportunity for Boro to go on and achieve anything in this division. So I think they just needed that belief, didn't they? And to bring about this culture, Akpom said after the game against Blackpool that there's so much good energy floating around the club. You can see that coming into training and stuff. We're enjoying it, and I felt that. I felt that when he said that, because it just seems like there's a really good feeling that Carrick. I mean, Chuba quoted our tweet yesterday and literally said, "We've got Super Michael Carrick," so they're fully bought into it, and that's all we needed. And it pays dividends, because footballers don't want to be put down. Normal people don't want to be put down. We don't want to be put down. So it's good to have that, as Steffen said, positive reinforcement and direction is what he said as well. It seemed like obviously Wilder was looking elsewhere. It was very much directionless because he just wasn't bought in, whereas Carrick has just, as I said, made it about the collective team rather than about him and what he wants and what he didn't get, etc., etc. Wilder probably puffing on some pork scratchings last night, drinking Peroni. Have it.
Can't repeat what you just done there, didn't it, on audio version. But in terms of the the confidence side of things, when you look at styles and ways of management, there is multiple ways that you can manage a team and reactions, because personalities within the group will react in different ways. Someone might prefer a bollocking and that will motivate them. Some need an arm around the shoulder, some need a personal touch, and someone might need a distant approach, and someone can do it by themselves and work on it that way. And it seems to me that we found a nice little sweet spot within the group, that they're all fully bought in, and he's managing them separately as individuals rather than as a collective. And I think that's probably the best way you can go about it in any type of management, because if you're able to bring down the blockers and give someone a bit of confidence, I think for me, and I've said on the last few podcasts, I think confidence is the most important part of football. If you have it, you can take on the world, and if you don't, you can get beat off anyone. And for Boro, we look really, really good at the moment. And I think it's from that confidence, that safe space, and that stability that we've got. And I think that's paying dividends on and off the pitch. And for me, when you see the players have confidence and you see that they're enjoying it, I think it's very easy for a fan to resonate with that and get fully bought in as well. And we don't have any association with Carrick at all, in terms of we don't speak to him, we don't talk to him, but you can feel that connection, and that connects off the pitch just as much. As well. But just going back to the game, Dana, we got like a message in from Gokul, and he says, what changed in the second half as Norwich weren't really able to enter the final third as easily as they did in the first half? Do you think this comes back to the bit we were saying earlier around controlling the game, making it less of a basketball match, and having more possession of the football?
Yeah, and shutting off the key spaces as well. Carrick has spoken a lot about attacking the key spaces of a football match, but we had to defend them because Aaron Ramsey, in particular, in that first half, and Gabriel Sara as well, had too much influence and impact on proceedings and getting into the final third, as Gokul says. I think in that second half, we just shut off the space. We compacted the midfield a little bit. And I was listening to Michael Bailey talk about the game afterwards, and he used the word passive to describe Norwich. I think it would be unfair on Boro to just put it down solely to passiveness, although from what I've heard from Norwich fans, it has been a theme in their games this season. But Boro shut off and limited that space to be able to get through. And I think Max Aarons was the player in that second half that, out of all of those Norwich lot, was at least trying to get something started. So the fact that their influential player switched from a central midfielder in Aaron Ramsey to Max Aarons, a fullback, so from central to the wide area, I think sums up Boro's game plan. They tweaked the shape, is what Carrick said, and they changed the press as well. And I just think, as I said, we shut off, we sort of blocked that avenue for them to be able to penetrate us through the middle. So that's why they went out wide. And I think we saw it in that second half. A lot of their opportunities came from sort of cutting in from the wide area, and in the end, it was all fat, no shit from them, really. And I'm quite glad for that. I'm glad that they had Onel Hernandez, because he's probably the one that epitomises that phrase the most.
Well, you can keep that to yourself, then, because we're going to be going to a certain island in just a moment. But Tom, we need a bit of magic to get back into it, I think. Obviously we were dominating the game, and you can see sometimes where a team will dominate periods of a game and then they don't get what they're rewarded with, and then they go on to lose 2-0. Ryan McGree scissor kick. How were you feeling when that flew in? Because what a strike that is.
I think the first thing I shouted was Di Canio.
I thought you were going to say something else then.
I don't know what you were thinking there, but no, it just reminded me, we used to try scissors kicks on the playground all the time when I was in school, and shout Di Canio when we did it, and they'd all go over the fence or something, and he's actually managed to get one in the top corner. It was absolutely, tremendous strike. Totally wasn't expecting it either. With McGree, I feel like he can score those types of wonder goals. He had another cracker against Swansea last season, and he can have other shots which go anywhere. But I think when he first came in, we were told about an absolute wonder goal that he scored in the A-League, and yeah, he seems to kind of carry on that trend of just pulling out wonder goals out of nowhere. But yeah, what a strike that was.
A fun fact as well that every time Ryan McGree scored in a football match, the team hasn't lost. So what I have now give my own version of the malt curse, and we will lose the next time he does score. But Tom, goals like that, when someone scores such a world, it can really spur a team on to go and win it, can't it?
Yeah, definitely, and I think that was all we needed. Like I said earlier, we came out strong in the second half. I think we did deserve a goal up until that point anyway. Just the way we got it was absolutely stunning. And then just seeing the look on your face there, Jonny, after you've been saying stunning all week, but
stunning.
Yeah, I think after that point, it does give you the confidence to go on and get another, and the way we got the last one, it was very reminiscent of a lot of like last minute winners from last year, wasn't it? Where, surprisingly, it wasn't Isaiah Jones with a low cross, but just Crooks or someone else running into the 6-yard box and absolutely hammering it in. Couldn't expect anything less from a last minute winner at the moment.
When we scored that, there was celebrations all around, on and off the bench, on the pitch as well. And I want to take us to a place where membership's a smiling face, guys, because Ryan Giles and Hayden Hackney, congratulations. You could be in Shithouse Island.
Let me take you to a place where membership's a smiling face, brushing shoulders with the stars, where strangers take you by the hand and welcome you to Wonderland from beneath the Panama. Shithouse Island drinks are free, burning sunshine, there's enough for everyone. All that's missing is the sea. But don't worry, you're a shit house.
Sorry and not sorry for getting that in your heads. For anyone that's listening and singing it for the rest of the week, I have been getting a lot of messages, people saying, Jonny, I hate you for creating that. Tom's dad.
It's just him, isn't it?
To be fair, at that Telegram chat, I get a lot of messages about that. It's not, you enjoy it, so keep it. But Giles and Hackney, Dynamo, why are they in Shithouse Island?
Oh, well, it's the shushing. We seem to have acquired a bit of a trend at the moment. Our players keep shushing everybody. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's some unspoken thing or it's actually just a planned celebration from our players. But I'm loving every minute of it. Both of them, it was like it was choreographed from Giles and Hackney. They both went up to the Norwich supporters and gave them the shush. And one of the stewards did not want the smoke. He was trying to stop them. He was trying to stop them both, but no, they were loving it, weren't they? Yeah, McGree as well. McGree's already in Shithouse Island, of course, but as soon as he hit that scissor kick, he was giving it the shush as well. So yeah, Jones against Blackpool as well did it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's gotten into our players, but I'm loving every minute of it.
Tom, do you think that the players are watching Shithouse Island and going, you know what, the drinks are free, I want a bit of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be on Shithouse Island? I mean, you just hear that song every week and just think, yep, that's where I want to be.
That's where I want to be. Well, to be honest, I was going to say I was debating for Zach Steffen to come in this week. Obviously there's a photo of him sat on the floor when the penalty's been taken, the diving the wrong way, but we think that it's not enough shithousery. Tom Dana, who wants to take this one? Because I personally thought he was going to be, and I wasn't finished with my question. I think he deserved to be in. But Tom, you don't think he does? Dana, do you not think he does either? Come on, Tom, you can take it first.
Yeah, I mean, I think context is key with the photo of him sitting down against the post. I didn't realise at the time when that was tweeted that was while the penalty was being taken. So I don't really mind that so much. I think the dive after the shot had gone past him and diving the wrong way. I love a bit of keeper shit. I was really like that. I do it myself, but I don't know. I think that's. I don't know. I think you can do more as a goalkeeper to get on
Lee
there.
Nichols.
I don't know. Yeah, I want to set the bar higher for it.
Okay, so to Zach Steffen then, you need to raise your bar, I guess. need to raise your bar. But if you disagree as a listener, as a viewer, let us know in the comments, because we are very open in terms of putting him in the island, but we just need a little bit of more. In terms of your contributions, though, it's time for questions now. And every week you send us your questions via Twitter at @Boro_breakdown, or email at theborobreakdown@hotmail.com, or via our Telegram chat where over 300 Boro fans are there talking everything but Boro. But everyone was dead happy yesterday with the 2-1 win. But the first question comes from James, and he says, which was better, McGree's scissor kick or Chuba's touch and skill build up to the winner? Tom, you can take this one. What do you think?
I'm going to go with the scissors kick. Having tried that many times, I know how hard it is not to get under the ball and absolutely hoof it over the fence or over a building or something. So to get that top bins off a scissors kick, I think that's the better bit of skill.
Dana?
I would say the same. I have hit a scissor kick before, not with an actual football, but there was a ball in a McDonald's Happy Meal back in 2006, promoting the World Cup, and I used to hit it on a scissor kick, and it's so satisfying. So yeah, I would say the scissor kick. Shout out to that ball, by the way.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I thought you were going to try it on Thursday when we were at Play Brew. I thought, when you said add the inflatable ball, I thought you were going to go for it. Do like override kicks or something after you cut the gins. But the next question is from Ballum, and he says, do you feel this win in the second half of the season give the players confidence to get more wins in the second half of the season and get into the top 6 places? Dana, do you want this one?
I think it could, yeah. I mean, obviously there's a big break, isn't there? So I don't know whether I'd say it's stopped out. Well, it has stopped our momentum in terms of the games, that the big gap in between the next game. But I think it probably will, because you've gone to a team there that recently relegated from the Premier League away from home. And that has been a problem for us before. We couldn't buy a win away from home 2.5 months ago. So to go into the World Cup break off the back of 3 away wins on the spin, I think will give them immense confidence. And obviously, having that time on the training pitch with Michael Carrick will probably just reinforce a lot of the goodness that we've seen so far, and ensuring that it's not just a new manager bounce that we're enjoying at the moment. So I think it could. I think this is a marker now for Boro. This is what they're capable of. Let's repeat it. Let's see it again, and let's continue that upward trajectory that we're seeing under Michael Carrick so far.
Okay, and then on the next question, it's from Dave, and Tom, I'm going to come to you on this one. He says, we're 4 points off the playoffs and 4 points off the relegation zone. So where will we end up?
I'm going up.
We're going up. Title charge. Maybe.
Table's lying at the moment. We're actually in the playoffs already. Or at least we're playing like we are.
All of the data suggests that we are a playoff team. So
yeah,
we're just not there in the one that actually probably matters.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to come out after the World Cup, hopefully even more full of confidence, and having that time on the training pitch to work on a lot more finer details. And I really hope that we look absolutely outstanding against Luton. I think the sky's the limit on where we can end up. I think a lot of people had us finishing top 2 before the season started. And with the squad that we have, there's no reason why they couldn't. They just needed that kind of leadership, as Steffen was saying, and the direction. I think now that we've got that, and we're playing really well. I think there's teams who will occupy those top 2 spaces. So I wouldn't want to go that far, but I think definitely playoffs is a good possibility.
Okay, and then the final question. I'm going to come at both of you on this one. But Tom, I'll come to you first. Has the World Cup break come at the wrong time?
I'm going to try and stay optimistic and say no. And like I've just said there, we've got 4 weeks to work on the training pitch. We've got a friendly game against Hibs. I'm sure we'll have more behind closed doors during that time, but that's just going to allow Carrick the time to work on a lot more stuff on the training pitch. It's good that we've hit a bit of form. The only bad part for me, I think, is the fact that when we come back against Luton, they currently don't have a manager. Who knows what they're going to play like when they come back? They might get the new manager bounce, or they might be shocking. But it'll be harder to do any prep work on Luton, I think. But from our side, we can only play our way and get better at it in that 4 weeks.
Dana, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's come at the best time, but also it's not come at the worst time either, because if we'd have lost that game yesterday, it would have been terrible. Having weeks to, a month or so to stew on that game. So it's good that we're going into it in a really good feeling. And as I said, I think Carrick has that time to really reinforce what's good of this team, what we've seen so far, and ensure that it's not just a new manager bounce, because it could well be that we're enjoying that at the moment, and that's absolutely fine. But I think as Boro fans, we don't want that to be just a temporary thing, do we? So I think it's good to be able to just get on the training pitch and really reinforce, as Chuba said, those patterns, the link up, the innate knowledge of where players are going to be, those patterns of play. So yeah, I think it's not the worst thing in the world, but probably worse as a fan, because going into it off the back of that performance and result, you just want to watch Boro again tomorrow if I could. So yeah, I think for that it's a bit annoying and inconvenient, but I see it as having good things to come from it, to be honest.
Yeah, you never want to leave when you're on a heater, do you? We're really in good form and also performing very, very well. So it's obviously a bit of a shame that the World Cups came, but I kind of echo you both in terms of this could be a really good time for Boro to implement Carrick's style, but also give the players a bit of a break as well, who aren't going to the World Cup. Spend some time with your families, go abroad, do whatever you want to do, and then come back maybe probably like a week's time or in 10 days' time, and just start working collectively again and have that bonding time to really progress for the second half of the season. And then the final part we're going to go to this week is the praise and place, because the praise and place is the place we give praise to a team, a coaching staff member, a player, Thomas Masseuse, who absolutely battered him yesterday, and so much more. I mean, to be fair, the praise and place could be something for us this week, because, the FCAs are on Wednesday and you never know. We could come back with something. But who's going to get our nominations this week? Dana, do you want to go first? Who's your nomination?
Ooh, I'm going to have a couple of nominees, actually. I think Zach Steffen, firstly, being told, as you said, 4 hours before the Blackpool game, that your World Cup dream's over because you're not being selected, omitted from the squad completely. That was a massive surprise. It's testament to him, really, that he's picked himself up and he's put in some really good performances. He was massive in that game yesterday against Norwich, because he made some really important saves at key moments. I think 5 saves he made in that game. I think a total XG of over 1. So, he definitely contributed to that performance and that result. But also Tommy Smith has been really good of late, and I think I need to put him in there. Marcus Forss as well. Blackpool really showed that he's more than just a poach. When we had Billy on this podcast, I really thought that he was just that, that he was a finisher. I think Billy even said, his build-up play isn't particularly great. But I think we've seen that it is, well, maybe not great, but it's good. It's much better than I thought it was. He's taken the ball into his stride. He's got a decent touch on him, decent pace. He's been good, Marcus Forss, and 2 assists as well, and a goal. So he's been fantastic. I'm sure there's somebody else that I wanted to put in there. Well, obviously Hayden Hackney as well. Akpom, the whole team can go on there, to be honest.
Everyone is in Dana's present place. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I need to go in a slightly different direction to that, and I'm going to put the whole coaching team in. I think the whole team deserves to be in there. But the last 5 games under Carrick, I think they've all done so well to really change the players' mindsets, pick them up, and get them playing the way that they have done. I think it's really brought a good feeling back to the place. I think even that first away game at Preston, like the fans was still singing for most of it. I mean, it did help that the Preston fans were quiet for about 85 minutes, but just it has brought such a good feeling back, and I hope that can continue after the international break.
Okay, then. So players, the coaching staff for you, Tom. I want to single out one or two. Hayden Hackney for me, just been, like I've said throughout the show, been amazing. He's getting better and better and better. And to be honest, I think he's kind of the one that goes, I wish the World Cup wasn't coming now, because when you're in that much form, you've got that much momentum going for you, you just don't want to stop. And he's been brilliant, really has. He's came at the sides. He didn't look out of it when he first came in, and now he looks even better as now he's in it. And the second one, I agree with you, Dana. Tommy Smith, really good, like really, really good to dislodge Dyke Steele and keep growing each week and really building that partnership with Isaiah Jones has been marvellous as well. And we just, and collectively as a team, we look great. But I think Hackney and Tommy Smith are going to get my 2 nominations for this week. But guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. And the listeners and the viewers, thank you very much for watching us and listening to us as well. And we've been speaking a lot about confidence this week on this podcast. So I'm going to push our next pod, and we've got our guest on, and it's Dan Abraham. Dan has worked with, he's a sports psychologist, and he's worked with Steve McLaren, Eddie Howe, Gareth Bale, Yannick Bolasie, and he works with really elite footballers and golf players, and also he worked with Eddie Jones as well, who was the coach at England Rugby as well. And he's going to come on and just talk to us about how sports psychology plays such a big part in football, and how a negative emotion and a positive emotion can do wonders for football teams. So that'll be really good. That'll be out next Sunday. But for right now, Boro have become a bag of tricks in the last 4 games. This is Magic Mike's Middlesbrough, and that was us loving every single moment of